One.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Boy and Girl Thing. I'm Kit Smith, and this is...
I'm Cece Schatz.
And I'm the author of the book, Let's Meet Our Match, Your Complete Guide to Success in the World of Internet Dating. And she is...
I am...
the doyenne.
The doyenne of divorce, dating, and relationship. I'm a mentor. I help people in the Tampa Bay area and all across the U.S. with our wonderful shows, which is on station WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network. I am the founder of that station, and we're just rocking and rolling, helping singles with all areas of their life. So we're excited.
And even though you're single, we're here to let you know you're not alone.
Absolutely, because I'm single.
I'm single.
Yeah, we're single.
And here we are, but we come to you with a whole lot of experience behind us in relationships and counseling and whatnot. And tonight, we are really pleased to have a wonderful lady with us.
Because we have struggled to have this lady, and she's well worth the wait.
It's taken a whole damn week for us to get her on. Her name is Joanne Simmons, and she has a website called soulmatecoach.net. And she's going to talk with us tonight about how to find your soulmate and everything that's entailed in that. Plus, at one time, Joanne was a bit of a celebrity. And I learned that she was a singer with the Serendipity Singers sometime back in the 60s. And I remember seeing that group on Ed Sullivan and Johnny Carson and all the different variety shows that we used to have in the 60s. I mean, who didn't have a variety show back then? Andy Williams, Dean Martin, the list is endless.
You remember all those, huh?
I'm a TV trivia nut. I'll take TV trivia for 200, Alex.
Funny.
So we're really happy to have her. Joanne, how many times were you booked up against New Christie minstrels?
Well, people always got us mixed up because the New Christie minstrels and our group were quite similar. Mixed up a lot. Actually, one of the New Christie minstrel, the girl who was the blonde in the group, there was a blonde and a brunette, and I was the blonde in our group. She was in Playboy magazine, and people would say to me, they'd get me mixed up with her and say, "Did I see you in Playboy?" And I would say, "It wasn't me. Wasn't me. Wasn't me."
Gee, that's probably the only issue I ever missed.
Yeah, I'd be on the other end. I'd be saying, "Thank you very much. Thank you."
So we're really happy to have her with us tonight, finally, and due to some technical glitches that had to be worked out, we're so glad to have you here. And Joanne,
so we're going to talk about the magnetic. I'm sorry, I always put it. We're going to talk about the magnetic soulmate dating. So tell us a little bit about this great plan. And first of all, you might want to tell us, just as an intro, how you got into being a soulmate coach and what that means to you.
Sure, love to tell my story.
I know.
I was in a marriage that ended in divorce, and then I was single for 17 years in between that marriage and my next marriage. So I had time to kind of get to know myself and time to date. And at the same time, I was a therapist in private practice. I was noticing that the clients who were coming to me were mostly women, and they were mostly women who really wanted a relationship, although there were some men also. And as I was going through my journey, my clients were going through their journey, and together we would experiment and find things that actually worked really well. And they found their soulmate, and I would write it down. Then I would incorporate that in another kind of sequence and begin to put together this formula that worked. There was a piece of the formula that I didn't quite get yet. And that piece was really, really pivotal, and it's called the law of attraction. So once I learned about the law of attraction and how to use it and how to become magnetic in that area of attracting the perfect partner for me, bam, my husband came in, and I'm so grateful for that. We have been married for 15 years, and he is my soulmate.
Oh, that's great.
That's wonderful.
That's great. I'm a little magnetic. What do you think?
You are.
Oh, come on
Yeah,
now.
yes,
This was
yeah.
you had your moment there with
Yeah,
me, but you
know.
messed it up. Okay, I'm sorry. So back into being serious. I agree with this, soulmate. It would be so wonderful for all of us to be able to meet our soulmates. But I had a question for you, and I wanted to know, do we have more than one soulmate that might enter our lives?
I believe that we do. I think that, and this may sound a little crazy, but this is a belief of mine.
Crazy is what we do best. Go ahead.
He does it
Stretch.
best.
It's a real stretch. Okay, we're stretch. I believe that we make up some plans before we come here. So in that studio, when we looked at that white screen, we also made some decisions with some of our friends who were in that same arena with us. And some of them were decisions for marriage or partnership. And there was more than one decision, or more than one person who was willing to play that role or wanted to play that role. So they oftentimes come as soulmates. Some of our soulmates are exactly like us, and they kind of mirror us, and it feels like you're looking at yourself.
Well,
And
aren't they the same type of people where they seem to know what you're thinking and what you're going to say before you even say it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of finishing your sentence.
Exactly. Yeah.
And others are kind of just somebody you feel so familiar with, which is in my case, when I met my husband, I felt like I was in a relationship with him already. I felt like I knew him, really knew him, and I was related to him. And that felt to me so comfortable and so easy and delicious as a relationship. And I was very grateful that I met him. And I'm married to him.
Yeah, great.
For 15 years, and it's been love ever since. That's great.
Yes,
I have a question. I've seen this term soulmate thrown around and described in a variety of ways, and I'm always curious to know, when we're discussing soulmate, how much of it is biological, meaning that our DNA, our genetics, our animal instincts tell us we're with the right person, and how much of it is simply emotion and common sense,
Or your chemistry thing going on.
and no, not exactly, but is conscious thought. In other words, we've decided someone is our soulmate rather than just have the feeling take over us. Can you follow what I'm asking?
I honestly think it's such a personal thing for each person. I can't really speak for other people. And I can talk about some people in my experience who I know is married to their soulmate and what they might say about that. I believe that it's something that it's an intuitive feeling that this is the person I'm supposed to be with.
Right.
That's my take on it. And I've had other relationships where I thought they were my soulmate. I was very, very highly chemically charged and really felt like, wow, this is like so amazing and over the top. And yet you have to really watch that kind of a situation, because it can be pretty much about the sexual attraction and not necessarily about deepening the relationship and having that partner, which is why I'm really talking about that long-term partnership.
Exactly. I've said many times that almost all relationships start out with a honeymoon period.
Oh, yeah.
Where you have that just incredible physical attraction. You can't stand to be away from one another. But at some point that begins to wear out. That begins to calm down. And now you're looking at each other with, okay, what do we have left?
But that's not a soulmate experience, is it? Because a soulmate experience, from what I understand,
you would segue right from one into the
right. But because what was a soulmate, from what I understand from Joanne, the soulmate experience is that you feel very comfortable and you're at ease. And even though you might have that sexual experience, wonderful experience, it's like having an old shoe and you don't want to get rid of.
Well, at
you
some
know what
point,
I mean?
at
Right?
some point, the fireworks kind of go out a little bit, don't they, Joanne?
I would
On
say,
a soulmate experience, does it fireworks go out?
I don't. Let me answer this. I do believe that the first 3 months of your relationship, it is a honeymoon period. That is true. Which, honeymoon is, you just really are deeply in love and there's a lot of sexual attraction and stuff like that. And yes, that kind of begins to settle in and other parts of the relationship come forward. That really has more to do with how do you deal with day-to-day life together? What are your choices? And then it gets pretty simple. Like, you start to have to make pretty big decisions together and get through some rough times, either with one another or with family members or friends. And that's what begins to form the deeper parts of the relationship, when you really begin to look at those different phases and those different things together as a couple.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. So tell us just a couple tips on the being magnetic. How do we go out with the law of attraction in mind? Can you give us some tips on being able to draw or attract that right person to us?
We talked about this before, Cece. It's really about vibration. And for those who aren't familiar with, what that term means, and we know about the music, high vibrations and stuff like that. Well, when you're in a state of gratitude, for example, that's a high vibration. When you're in the state of happiness, that's a high vibration. When you're actually in the state of peace, that's also a high vibration. If you're upset about something and you're, mad, or you're carrying on some kind of a upset that's going on in your vibration drops. So one of the magnetic Okay, I think we're back. One of the things that Esther Hicks talks a great deal about is keeping yourself revved up and in a high vibration, a way that you can take your deepest desires, your deepest longing, or your are we together here?
We are together now, but that's quite all right. You're doing just great.
Okay, but Esther Hicks
Don't
talks
stop
about,
talking on our account, Joanne. Just keep going.
She gets people to kind of talk faster about, this is really what I want, and I would love to have a beautiful house sitting on the mountaintop and beautiful sky, and have my loved one with me holding their hand. So the more that you can get into the essence and the feeling of the visualization about what you want, it really does help to bring that in. So we're talking about a vibration, and the vibration becomes magnetic.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. It's funny because I when I go to sleep at night, I'm always very grateful. I always pray and thank thank the Lord for all that he's given me and everything. And then I try to visualize what I really need. Like if there's something that I'm needing, or I have a question about something, I'm a little bit disturbed, I'm not quite sure where direction my life is going in, I start, kind of putting that into my mind. And when I go to sleep, I wake up and I kind of have the answer. And
Wow.
I think it's the same thing with having that vibration high. It's like when I'm doing that, I'm in expectation that the answer is going to be there. Mm-hmm. So I think it's the same thing as we're out there dating. We have to put ourselves in the place that we expect. We know that, good things are going to happen. A great person's going to come into our life. We may not know exactly when that's going to happen, but we know it's going to happen. So we're just going to keep following and keep that vibration up.
And we know that dating's fun. We know that it's an experience, right?
Supposed to be, yes.
The more fun you have with the dating, the more, joy you bring into your life, and how you appreciate the other partner for who they are and you respect them, the higher your vibration.
Right. Sometimes I think we make dating very complicated when it really shouldn't be. So, I think it is. And I know myself, I do the same thing, because when I've dated, someone's always wanted to be exclusive right away. And when they're not, I'm like, what's up with that? But it's very different. I wanted to just say briefly is that Joanne and I did a show on Saturday. So when we're referring to that we've talked before, we have this pretty cool show out. So if you guys want to see it, it is on Facebook, and we are going to have it on our YouTube channel. So if anyone wants to see that along with this one, please do, because it's a little bit different than this one, but it does cover some really cool things. So just so you know that.
I have a question for you, Joanne.
Okay.
There are several girls that I went to high school with, and this is going back just a couple years.
Ladies. those were children.
Just a couple years ago.
They're not senior citizens.
They married guys from our high school. In other words, they were boyfriend, girlfriend in high school, got married right out of high school. And sadly and unfortunately, many of them are now widows. And yes, and I can see, I'm friends with them on Facebook, and they put up posts all the time. And to me, it appears they will never, ever be prepared to bring someone else into their life again. And just simply because they can't let go. Okay. In other words, they found their soulmate, and there will never be anybody that could stack up to that person. So why bother? I mean, one girl just keeps posting up old pictures of her and her husband, who was a dear friend of mine, and I can't let go of the memories. And he died 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. When you have a strong connection like that, a soulmate connection.
Right. What I'm saying is, what would you advise another girl? Her husband was a police officer who was shot in the line of duty, and her posts are nothing but anger. Oh. Okay.
So what would you recommend on that? Could you give them some word of advice?
And they're young enough that they should, but they're they're living their life through their grandchildren and their, and whatnot, as opposed to even thinking about starting another relationship.
Well, you're talking about my mother.
Okay. Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom.
My mom was married to my dad, and he died, and then she never would date, and she had no interest in it. So there may be some people who really don't ever want to reconnect with a guy or a man or have that kind of a relationship again. And it worked out for my mother. She was a very happy single person. She did a lot of things she never would have done if she was married, because I think she was in a rather repressive relationship with my dad. But so she ended up being able to feel her freedom and her singleness and go to Israel and, do stuff she never would have done if she was married to my dad. So there are some good good qualities and good points for people who really feel like they've done that and they've been there and they're not ready and they don't really want to find another partner.
Right.
However, let's talk to the ones who really do want another partner, but they're stuck. They're stuck in their past. And that's another issue. That's a whole other dynamic. If they're stuck in their past and their past is holding them back from their deep longing and desire to really reconnect and find the next person and share their life with, there's ways that they can work through that stuck place.
I've met a couple of those ladies.
Uh-huh.
And
they can work through that.
It wasn't pleasant.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I know whereof you speak.
Yeah. And you have to look at what is your intention? What is your intention, and what is the intention of the person who you are having a conversation with or you're having a date with? Some people go into the dating process and they just want to have fun. They're not interested in finding a partner, and they have some obstacles in their way to really look or find true love. But there's other people who really do want that, and they can get professional help to help them shift and release some of those stuck places and then move into their next great life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, it's just amazing, though, I think, how many times I've met someone that I felt like I have met them before, or, there's just something so familiar about them. And so I think this whole topic of soulmate is very interesting, because I think that even some very close friends I have, like I said, it's like having an old shoe, someone that is comfortable, and you like being around and that kind of thing. So it's very interesting. So what other advice can you give us as we're moving through, the dating arena, and we're trying to kind of sort out in our minds what avenue we want to take? Any suggestion with that?
Okay, I want to suggest that when you begin to date and you're in that arena, be sure that you're clear about what you want. And I mean, what do you want? Do you just want to date and have fun and go places and just have companionship? Do you want a relationship? What is it you want from the experience? That's important to be crystal clear. And of course, you can begin. Some people haven't dated in a very, very long time. I mean, they may have been in a long-term marriage and their partner died. So dating is probably new and different. And so maybe at the beginning, that's something they want. They just want to have fun. They just want to be with different people and go dancing with a different partner. And that's great. If that's
what happens, let me just ask you real quick. What happens when there's intimacy? It's so hard to just, when you're dating and then you become intimate with someone, to just like, okay, well, you just move on to the next. I mean, I know some guys can do that very easily, but I think women, it becomes sticky,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think you're exactly right. And it depends on how intimate you're talking about. So,
Okay.
Intimate is intimate. What do you mean?
Well, ask Bill Clinton.
I think she knows what we're talking about.
Yeah. But it is true. It's like, and I have met men that say that they just want to date and they don't want to do anything else. And then when the intimacy happens, then they change their mind because, everything's clicked and everything's working well. And they decide, well, let's try this, let's try this on. Let's see what happens with it. So I have had that experience myself. I know others of my other friends that I've talked to, they've had that experience. But then there's the ones where that's all they want. And it might be just because they're at the early stages of dating, or maybe they do have some sort of, hang up somewhere, something they need to deal with. And that becomes then more difficult. So I would say, would they not be a soulmate connection then if that happens, or could they possibly still be one?
I would say that they're not a soulmate connection.
Okay.
I would, because there is something deeper about the soulmate. It really does resonate on a deeper level. And if you're finding that that partner that you're dating is not a good fit or not the right vibe for you, I suggest you kindly move on, as gentle and as kind as you can possibly be. And
also as quick as you can.
And as quick as you can.
Yeah.
You don't want someone hanging out in your relationship space. If your intention is to find your soulmate and to have a committed, loving relationship, a live-in relationship with your partner, you don't want someone in your relationship space who you know is not that person.
Right. Exactly.
So you need to.
Yeah.
And move on.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. So Joanne, share with us your information so everyone can contact you if they'd like to.
Okay. Well, I'm also an author.
Let's talk about your book. Yes.
It's actually just.
You can hold up.
It literally is just being printed right now. It's called Stop Looking and Let True Love Find You. It's on Amazon, and it should be ready to be printed in like 2 or 3 days.
Wonderful.
Cool.
It's a formula. It's the formula I talked about at the beginning of this. It's a way that you can look at a systematic way of getting yourself ready to meet the love of your life. So it's very systematic, and it is a formula. So it does one thing leads upon the other, and it creates a magnetic field where you become attractive in that field and attract a partner to you. That's why it's called Stop Looking and Let True Love Find You. So once you're lined up and you have that alignment, body, soul, and spirit alignment in yourself, and you're clear and you're ready, and then you can just relax. It's like the universe knows what you want, and so do you. So it'll come in when it's supposed to come in.
Absolutely wonderful.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
great. Good luck with that, Joanne.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll get a copy. I want to get a copy. So that's definitely great. So tell us your website.
Okay, it's soulmatecoach.net. And I have a free offer for people who want to have a laser-like coaching session on finding your soulmate. And that's complimentary. So if you go to my website, just connect with me, and I will set up a session with you, and we can have some fun together.
That's great.
Awesome. That's excellent.
I think it's so great to have this. It's like putting tools in your toolbox, being able to have this information, great coaches like yourself, be able to touch base with and talk to be able to, because I've experienced a lot of stuff, and I'm very happy though. I'm very happy with my life, and I love the people that I'm meeting and everything. But, you are, when you're dating, it can be tough. It can be definitely tough.
Especially at our ages. We're not kids anymore.
Yeah.
And there's so many other elements that come into play that didn't when we were kids. Mm-hmm. That can really make things difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So just a last quick question, because I had this from a friend of mine. She wanted to know what is happening when she has past people in her life. They keep coming back. So does that mean something, even though it didn't work out when they were actually dating, but they keep coming back into her life? What does that mean?
That's interesting, isn't it? I'd have to say to your friend, what does it mean to her? Because it's something that she's attracting back into her life, that person. So there must be some thread of having not let go of them. And there must be something in that relationship that's important to explore. So if she's wanting to find a soulmate and wanting to have a deeply committed, loving relationship, it's best that she not get involved with, on an intimate level, with somebody who is from her past. If she feels like it's not her perfect match is out there. So. It's just having faith and knowing that that's true.
Right.
I would advise her to let go. If she's already let go once, why keep revisiting? Why keep revisiting that? If you've already let go once and you're preparing to move on, why keep reliving your history? That would be what I would say.
It's a very good point. But there's something to learn in that relationship for her. I don't know what it is, but if her goal is to find her ideal partner, and if she's had a romantic relationship with this person and it's not a great fit, she needs to realize that it's best for her to release that relationship and to not keep that person in her relationship space.
Yeah,
it's kind
exactly.
of getting full. It's getting too full, and you really need that space to let somebody in.
Yeah. Great advice. Great advice. Words of an expert here for sure, and I appreciate it so much. So I think we're going to have to close the show.
No.
I know it goes by so quickly. Absolutely quickly.
Joanne, thank you so much for coming on with us. We were just thrilled to death to have you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. It was my pleasure.
Thank you for kind of working through all of this and getting on the show with us, because I know
we hope to have you on again soon.
Yes,
definitely. Appreciate it.
We love it. Okay, so that was Joanne Simmons, and she has a website, which is the soulmatecoach.net, or you can reach her on soulmatecoach.com. She's got a terrific new book coming out. I think I'm going to go out and get it myself, because I think it will definitely help me, and it will help others, so that we can share all this good knowledge with everyone else. So what do you say, Kit?
Again, just thank you so much, Joanne. Your words of wisdom. I hope we passed along some information tonight that everybody can use, and maybe help them to understand a little bit better what the whole soulmate thing is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you again. We appreciate it. Okay.
Alrighty.
All right. Bye for now.
Good night, Joanne.
Good night.
Good night.